Diamond B Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
You can experience the wonderful language, atmosphere, and countryside of France without ever crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Montreal, Quebec, Canada is truly a slice of Europe in North America. A scenic 30-mile drive from Old Montreal lies Sanair Super Speedway, where today short-track stock car racing takes a giant step forward with the first running of the stock car connection Molson 400. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Evans, and today, for the first time in history, after 18 months of negotiations, 3 regional short-track stock car organizations come together under common rules and a common banner, the Stock Car Connection. I'm talking about the American Speed Association, ASA, out of the Midwest, the All-Pro Group from down south, and the American Canadian Tour Cars from the Northeast. Now, what does all this mean to the drivers? Well, this weekend alone, over $200,000 is on the line, and the Stock Car Connection will be producing 6 of these extravaganzas all around the continent for a total purse in excess of $1 million. And we're proud to be able to bring you 3 of those races on our show. Last week, you may recall, we brought you the qualifying rounds for today's Molson 400 and also the Showdown of Champions, where the star was this man, Butch Miller, in car number 52. He came from way in the back to a strong third. But for the Molson 400 today, you're on the pole, Butch, but it's a very long race.
Well, we kind of specialize in long races. And this Lane Automotive Camaro, I'm going to keep it in front for as long as I can. You know, I'm going to try and beat Trickle down to the first corner. And I hope that's not his secret, too. He didn't tell you anything like that, did he?
Not yet. Brock is talking to it. You're going to run it like a short race, in other words.
Oh, you have to, because they're paying lap money, and it's pretty decent lap money. We're going to try and stay in front as much as possible.
Okay, good luck to you. In fact, let's get some comments from Dick Trickle and Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, starting on the outside of the front row, the winningest short-track stock driver in the history of the sport, Dick Trickle, number 99 car, and I think he's raced every short track in the world as far as I know, but he says this is the first time here at Sanair, and that's right. Is that correct? Never run here before, right, Dick, other than some practice sessions in last week's race?
Right. Well, I guess St. Pie, you know, even though it's up here in Canada, it's still in the world, but it's a new track to the late model stock cars, and I'm proud to be running and sitting on the outside pole with my Coors Light Silver Bullet car here, and it's just great that this new Stock Car Connection, the first race, is actually an international event, you know, being Canada and the United States both. So I'm just proud to be here and hope we run off a good show.
Okay. Steve? Thank you, Brock. Robbie Crouch here represents the ACT cars in car number 48, putting his earplugs in right now. And Robbie, tell me about the pit stop strategy for this distance race.
Well, there's a lot of strategy today because we're required to make only 2 tire changes. We can only change 2 tires per pit stop. So
on a yellow lap.
On a yellow lap, yeah. So, you know, we got to watch the left side tires. We just can't be throwing right side tires all the time. So I think you'll see a lot of pit stops today just so, you know, we can get right side tires on, and then, you know, maybe 15 laps later, if they have a caution, we'll be pitting to put left sides on just to keep those fresh.
If the car is handling properly, running properly, when would you anticipate your first stop?
Well, we can run, you know, probably 100 laps, depending on the tires, but I imagine about 60 or 70 laps. You know, if we get a caution, we'll be going in, no problem.
Hope it all works for you today.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Brock?
Well, Steve, starting outside on the second row is young 23-year-old Steve Grissom, the 85 All-Pro champion from Gadsden, Alabama, and a brand-new Buick LeSabre. And, Steve, brand-new racetrack. You guys have never run here before. You got a long distance to go, and I would imagine you got some strategy decisions to make.
Well, just based on practice, this track's going to be pretty rough on the brake pads, so we're going to try to lay back a little bit if we can and conserve our brakes, so we'll be there at the end of the race, hopefully.
So it's going to kind of be maybe a 2-stage race, the first half, and then kind of get ready to make a run for the end at the end of it, huh?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, that's sort of what we're planning on doing, is kind of taking it easy and saving the car for the first 200 laps or so, and then hopefully for the last 100 laps we'll be there to make a run for the money.
Well, we'll sure be watching and wishing you luck. Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Well, Brock, inside of row number 3 is the man we showed you last week winning the Showdown of Champions, 4-time ASA champion Bob Seneca, the number 84 Buick. He's from Michigan.
And Steve, right beside him, another ASA star, Ken Stouffer in a new Thunderbird. He is starting in this position thanks to his victory in one of the 25-lap qualifiers run last week.
Well, you know, Brock, ASA shows the number 97 driver, Ted Musgrave, as a rookie, but he sure didn't look like it, winning the other qualifier last week to earn this inside row 4 position.
Beside him, Steve, from Midland, Michigan, 4-time ASA champion Mike Eddy, who we saw finish right behind Bob Seneker in that showdown of champions that was run here last week.
And Brock, here's a young man, Mickey Gibbs, in car number 1 at Buick, that the All-Pro organization hopes for big things from. His crew had to drive over 40 hours to get here from Alabama.
Beside him in the number 79 Thunderbird, a beautiful automobile from Franklin, Wisconsin, representing ASA, Bobby Dotter.
And no question about a crowd favorite. He sits inside row number 7, the number 11 Camaro of Claude Leclerc, one of the most popular drivers in all of Canada. He's from the province of Quebec.
And Steve, these 40 drivers will be on board 21 Buicks, 11 Chevrolets, 4 Oldsmobiles, 4 Fords, 9-to-1 compression ratio engines, 358 cubic inches. We'll be back for the start after this.
The cars with a Molson 400, all 40 of them are out on the triola for the pace lap, and you're riding along with Claude Leclerc. He is on the inside of row number 7. And Brock, also in this field, we have a second onboard camera, and that rides with none other than the pole sitter, Butch Miller, who we saw win last year at Cincinnati Queen City Speedway. Here we see Miller sitting in his car number 52, a Chevrolet Camaro, getting relaxed. He doesn't seem concerned about warming up the tires or the brakes, just kind of cruising along behind the pace car.
Well, Steve, let's not forget that Miller represents one of 3 really fine racing organizations that have come together here to form up what is called the Stock Car Connection. This is one of 6 races that will be run this season. Now, that represents the American Speed Association, ASA, All-Pro, which is basically from the southern United States, and ACT, the American Canadian Tour, which is based essentially in New England and in Quebec and Ontario, Canada.
And it's the ACT teams, Brock, that had to go to the most work to be part of all of this, because they used heavier steel cars with kind of run-what-you-brung motors. They had to literally build new cars with the fiberglass bodies. They had to go to the 9-to-1 compression motor, something they had not done before. The one concession they got, they're allowed here to use their 600 CFM carburetor. All the rest of the races will be the usual ASA All-Pro 390 CFM carburetor, much smaller. And also, they're racing on their home track for the first time.
Well, Steve, let's not forget that these 3 sanctioning bodies will separate, run their own schedules for part of the year, and then regroup 5 more times during the rest of this season. But as you said, also, the ACT guys do have a little bit of an advantage here at Sanair. They've run here before with their heavier race cars, but the All-Pro guys and the ASA guys, they've never seen this place before. And believe me, they've had some troubles getting set up for Sanair. It's a unique racetrack, as earlier Steve and I had a look at it.
Sanair Super Speedway is really a beautifully engineered tri-oval. It's 1.3 kilometers, or 0.89 miles around, measured 10 feet off the outside wall. The front straightaway is 900 feet long, banked at 1.5 degrees. At the end of that straightaway, though, at turn 1, things become very tricky, as you can tell by all the skid marks. It takes quite a bit of braking to get around very quickly. And in turn number 1, there are 4 different radiuses, decreasing as you go through the corner. It is banked at 5.5 degrees.
Well, Steve, turn 1 is a little unusual. You're absolutely right about that, but there's a reason for that. When track owner Jacques Gertin tried to build this track, he wanted to go a full mile, but there just wasn't enough room. He had a restriction on public roads around the property line, so he went to a computer, and the computer said this layout was the optimum for speed and for competitiveness. Now, as the drivers come off turn 1, they come down a short chute and into the dog leg on the back straightaway. Now, it looks like it might be flat out. It's banked 4 degrees, and possibly you could get through here without lifting. But the drivers have to just come off the throttle a little bit, right around 150 miles an hour, and head down another short chute toward turn 3, which is also mighty tricky.
It is, Brock, because as you come off of that short straightaway, the track appears to narrow. But Jacques assures me the racing surface is 60 feet wide all the way around. It's just an optical illusion created by that tricky computer of his. Now, turn number 3 is much tighter than 1 or 2. It's banked at 5 degrees, and all in all, due to the tightness and the amount of braking required, it's really a lousy place to pass. And to complicate things even further, against the inside wall, Jacques has installed some vicious little alligator teeth to keep the cars from getting too close there. All in all, unlike most ovals where the turns are pretty much alike, here you have to always remember where you are and drive this track as much with your head as with your foot.
Well, as the pace laps continue, we've got an interesting little communications item for you. Steve is hooked up with Dick Trickle with his in-car radio. Steve?
Dick Trickle, this is Steve Evans, Diamond P Sports. And more. Dick, knowing the green flag is just a few moments away, what goes through your mind as a driver?
Right now I got new brake pads in and I'm hoping the car will stop there the laps here until they get broke in.
How many laps does it take to get them seated?
I'll probably paid for the first 20 laps and then we're getting, they'll come back in.
Okay, thank you and best of luck to you.
And that is Dick Trickle in that number 99 Camaro on the outside of the front row. A pair of Chevrolets leading him down toward the green flag, which ought to fly in a second stage.
It has indeed, Brock. We are underway with the Molson 400. 300 laps of this tri-oval. The white 52 Camaro with Butch Miller's on the inside. Dick Trickle, the number 99 dark blue and silver car, has to give way, and we are now riding with the leader the first time on the back section of the dog leg of this racetrack. He's off the throttle a little bit. Now the short chute down to that tricky turn number 3.
Good clean start as Miller leads him down into turn number 3. Right behind him, Trickle. Number 48, Robbie Crouch, and number 31, Steve Grissom round out the top 4 cars.
And nobody happier about this clean start than Claude Leclerc. We're running with him now. He is back in the 16th position. Just ahead of him is the 0 car representing ASA. That is Tom Jones. There was some conjecture with all of these new drivers or new to this racetrack that we might have some accidents here in the early going, but so far it looks real good. But Robbie Crouch is getting a challenger.
He sure is. That's number 31, the red and white Buick of Steve Grissom from Alabama, moves underneath Crouch to take over the 3rd spot. And now, that number 31 car begins to move in on Trickle, who's in 2nd. So Steve Grissom starts to make his move early in the going. Remember, he told me at the start, Steve, he might sit back a little bit.
Well, and also Trickle told me on the radio, Brock, as you heard, he was concerned because he had all new brakes, new calipers, new pads. It would take a few laps for them to set in. And look at Trickle go way high and let Grissom underneath him.
So Steve Grissom may take over the 2nd spot as they head down into turn number 1. He does do it. The number 31 Buick of Steve Grissom, Gadsden, Alabama, former All-Pro champion 2 years ago, takes over 2nd spot.
And we talked about all these drivers using 9-to-1 motors and the same carburetor. They're also all, just like Claude Leclerc, running on the same spec Goodyear tire. And all of those tires were checked with the durometer before they went out on this racetrack to make sure that no one had an edge, a softer tire than anybody else. Everybody on the same rubber, the same compression size engines, and the same basic weights of the car. So this is about as balanced. Oh, and Leclerc is in trouble. Leclerc is spinning and just missing him. John Paul Cabana. Oh, but tagging just the right rear corner. It's a 92 car of Peter Gibbons. Boy, you know there's a yellow flag out now. Let's hope everybody else can avoid the 11 car Leclerc, the 92 car of Gibbons, and John Paul Cabana. He made a miraculous move there, Brock. Just a good hard lap, but he has sustained some damage down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, it doesn't look like Leclerc is damaged at all. In fact, he's underway as we watch Butch Miller shifted up into 3rd gear, going by the scene of the accident. Peter Gibbon out of his car, taking a look at the nose, and there is Jean Paul Cabana's car as well. So those 2 cars badly damaged. We're under caution here in the Molson 400 at Sanair.
What looks like a scene in Gay Paris is really Artist Alley in Old Montreal. And it's here you can find just about any kind of art at any kind of price. And about 30-some-odd miles away, of course, is Sanair Super Speedway. And here's our first visitor to the pits in the Molson 400. That is Claude Leclerc.
Well, Steve, he's back underway after a quick stop at his pits to check the damage, which is apparently minimal. Unfortunately, the 2 other competitors that were involved, Peter Gibbon and Cabana, both having their share of problems. Here we see it again. There he is reeling in some right steering lock to correct that slide, but it wasn't enough, and around he comes.
It looked like he had it under control, Brock, and all of a sudden may have overcompensated a little bit to the left. But here comes Jean-Paul Cabana. He does not want to hit his old friend Leclerc head on. He makes an evasive move, but that cost him possibly a restart in this race because he really got into the fence hard.
Okay, here we see it from another angle. The red car, number 11, that's Leclerc. Getting around him on the high side is Tom Harrington, but with no place to go to avoid a head-on. John Paul Cabana, number 5A car, makes a hard left. He misses Leclerc, but coming through is Gibbons, car number 92, the blue machine right here, and he will just tag the right rear quarter of Leclerc's car. But that was enough to destroy our in-car camera. Let's go to Brock.
Well, Steve, I'm with Andre Seguin, the crew chief on Jean-Claude Leclerc's car. What was the damage when he came in, Andre?
No damage at all. Nothing. Everything was perfect on the car. No damage.
No problem.
The 52 hit him in the back, but didn't do nothing on it.
So the only problem is he goes to the back. Other than that, he's okay.
Yeah,
good.
All right. Everything's perfect.
Good news.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay. So Leclerc will go to the back of this field, which remains under caution as Butch Miller leads him around. Right behind him, Steve Grissom, Dick Trickle, Robbie Crouch, and Ken Stauffer, the top 5 at the present moment. Now, let's go to Steve with Dick Trickle on the radio.
Dick Trickle, this is Steve Evans, Diamond T Sports. 10-4, come on in. Well, Dick, the first question, the obvious one, how are the brakes now?
They're baity, you know, they're not stopping me good. The car is kind of wobbling going in the corners. I'm having a hard time bringing them in there. They're working, but they're just getting hot on me because the fact they're new and they have to get heat cycle. This yellow will help me a little bit, but it still ain't gonna. There wasn't enough laps to heal them yet.
Okay, I'll let you get back to business. Thank you.
Okay, we should be about ready for a restart here at Sanair. The Molson 400 getting the damage cleaned up, and they're coming off turn 3. There's a green. See?
Indeed, and it's Butch Miller, car number 52, the Camaro, taking over right where he left off, leading it, but coming underneath number 99, Dick Trickle, is that red and white car of Steve Grissom. Car number 31 has moved into the second spot. Robbie Crouch now makes a move inside Trickle.
So Trickle slow on the uptick after the green as we watch the number 11 car. That's Claude Leclerc coming back, passing car number 42, Carlton Roby, and moving up into the 30th spot. Remember, he was up about 16th before that spin.
Indeed, Brock, let's set them up here. Butch Miller and Steve Grissom, they are racing for the lead there. Car 52 and car number 31. In the third spot, car number 48, the blue and white machine of Robbie Crouch. 99, Dick Trickle, the dark blue and silver car has fallen back. Here we're riding with the leader, Butch Miller, but I'll continue to tell you that Mike Eddy, he is in the 5th spot, followed by Ken Stauffer in 6th, Bob Center, car number 84 in 7th, Ted Musgrave, car number 97 in 8th. Look for him to move up, possibly. 79, Bobby Donner, the new Thunderbird, he's in the 9th spot. Mickey Gibbs from the All-Pro organization in 10th, and representing the ASA, car number 81, Harold Fair, he's in the 11th spot.
There you see Butch Miller negotiate that dog leg on the backside of the track. You heard him lift the throttle just a little bit, and now burying down into that tricky turn number 3, and coming off with Steve Grissom right on his rear bumper. Grissom, a real surprise so far in this race, Steve.
And another surprise too, Brock, but in the other direction is Dick Trickle, who is falling back. I know he's got new brakes on, but so do a lot of the other guys. We expected really, starting in the front row, a little stronger performance early from Trickle. Maybe it's the brakes, maybe it's something else in the car.
Well, there goes Leclerc, moving past car number 20. That is Dan Perez, another ACT driver, and he has moved up into the 29th spot. So Leclerc driving hard, trying to make up for that early problem. There is Crouch, the number 48 car, Trickle 99, 88. That is Mike Eddy down underneath Trickle, trying to move by him. So Mike Eddy, one of the finest drivers in the ASA. Boy, if these guys bank fenders over the years, Eddy and Trickle, around the country, 80, 90 races a year, these two have run against each other. So you can be sure there are no surprises. Crouch, he's a different guy. He comes from the Northeast. And there is the pass. Yes, underneath Dick Trickle comes Mike Eddy, and will move up into the 4th spot. So Mike Eddy on the move.
Nothing intimidates Mike Eddy, nothing in the way of a racetrack at White Rock. We saw him a few seasons ago, one on the track they call the Black Widow. Remember at Winchester? He will get there and run door handle to door handle with you, and absolutely not be bothered by anything you may try to do in retaliation.
One top race driver as we watch him come around that turn number 3 and head down the 900-foot front straightaway. Butch Miller continues to lead it as we watch the comeback of Claude Leclerc continue in the number 11 Camaro. There he passes J. Michael Kurkowski for the 25th spot, continuing to move up. Still though, Miller on the point, leading it here. Right behind him, Steve Grissom, right on his bumper. Grissom trying to get by as the rest of the field trails off turn
car to the garage area. And Jean-Paul, what happened down in turn 1?
On turn 1, you know, my friend told that he spin with another car. As soon as I see that, you know, I turn my wheel on the left side, and I spin myself, but I close my car very close to the wall. I give the most place it's possible for somebody coming, you know. But the guy, like 92, with no experience, he never put the brake. He hit me like in the front, on the left front. My car is scrapped.
You know, there's a lot of drivers out there that have never run this distance or on this racetrack. What do you expect from the rest of this event?
For the rest of the event, you know, I don't know now, you know, I feel very, very bad, you know, especially that's my home track, and my garage is about 6 kilometers from here. I'm very, very disappointed.
And we're sad to see you out as well. Thank you.
Well, a really tough break for the Quebec fans here who saw two of their very favorite drivers, Leclerc and Cabana, tangled up in the same little dust-up in turn number 1 as we watch Robbie Crouch and Mike Eddy go at it here. Crouch in the 48 car, Mike Eddy in that lime green number 88 Buick, diving underneath Crouch, going off turn number 1 and taking over the 3rd spot.
Well, Robbie Crouch, Brock, didn't even seem to aggressively defend that 3rd spot. He stayed high down the straightaway, then into the turn, and of course Mike Eddy is going to take advantage of that.
Well, Crouch, a real sportsman. It could be that he just figured he couldn't hold Eddy off and let it by, or else he got a little bit high in the corner and just had no other alternative. And there you are, looking over the shoulder of the leader, Butch Miller, as he rides high, wide, and handsome here in the Molson 400.
We're back at Sanair Super Speedway, where the cars of the Stock Car Connection Molson 400 continue to roar around this tri-oval. I'm Steve Evans, along with Brock Yates, and that is Steve Grissom, who is closing in on the leader, Butch Miller. Miller, who has led from the drop of the green flag, is suddenly getting more pressure than he's had all day, Brock.
Well, right behind Grissom, of course, is that green number 88 car of Mike Eddy, so they're both right in behind this man. Butch Miller, though, but he's got a clear track ahead, and I'll tell you what, nothing a race driver likes to see more than blank asphalt out in front of him, and that's exactly what Miller's got right now.
Look at this. It is Eddy and Grissom side by side. Eddy takes the initiative, pushes Grissom out of the line, and Mike Eddy is now in the 2nd position.
And there is Robbie Crouch, and right behind him, Bob Steneker, moving around a slower car. And Robbie, remember, started in the 3rd spot, but has fallen back. I wonder if he's got some tire problems or whatever, but right now he is being challenged by Bob Steneker. They call him the Bluebird. That's his nickname. The winningest driver in the history of ASA. One of the very best short track drivers in the business, moving underneath Crouch to take over that 5th spot.
You know, Crouch's car may be a little bit loose because he has a hard time keeping that low group. Or, as you said before, maybe he's just such a gentleman that he lets people like Bob Steneker that appear to have a little more muscle than he does by. But one thing, Brock, I can tell you, we haven't seen a sign of any smoke whatsoever out of any one of these motors. So apparently that 9-to-1 compression formula really adds a lot of reliability to these races.
Absolutely, it surely does. As a race for 2nd continues with Steve Grissom now trying to re-challenge, I should say, Mike Eddy for that 2nd spot. Remember, he lost it just a few laps ago. Now he's underneath Eddy and coming down the front straightaway, ought to retake 2nd place. Eddy, though, not giving up. Are we going to see him stay on the high groove all the way around turn 1? No, he ducks back down underneath Grissom, has no choice but to give up 2nd place.
Did you see Grissom wave there, Brock? It was almost like waving goodbye to him or something.
That's wishful thinking if that's what Steve's doing. Eddy is one of the most tenacious competitors in the business. But look at this, though. Grissom has moved out a little bit, about a 3-car length lead now.
I'll tell you what that wave was. He was thanking him for letting him by, and here we've got a bit of a shunt. Into the wall is car number 60. That is Dale Shaw, and he has crashed pretty hard. I don't even know if he's going to be able to lift that one back to the fence, and you can bet the yellow flag is out to the entire field.
Well, I would imagine that we're going to see some pit stops as Butch Miller leads it down. He's going to form up. There he goes, downshifts and backs it in. He's coming into the pits. Yes, here comes Miller into the pits. Remember now, the rules in this particular event, only 2 tires can be changed. Mike Eddy in as well. Fuel on board out of those dump cans. The very familiar 11-gallon dump cans. Miller taking on 2 right side tires. Trickle in 2. Car number 99. There goes Miller. He'll be underway first. Now they're going to hold him up. as the rest of the field forms up out of the racetrack. Eddie down off his jack. He's taken out 2 right side tires. There's Robbie Crouch, 2 right sides. There's Bob Sanair. His pit stop is completed, but they're holding him up at the entrance of pit lane. Now everybody underway. There goes number 52, Butch Miller. There's 88 Eddie, 84 Sanair, all underway to form up behind the pace car. It's going to take a minute or two to clear away that Dale Shaw wreckage right at the exit of turn number 1. So we're going to be under caution here for a few minutes. While we're waiting for the green to drop, let's go to Steve, who earlier had a look at a unique aspect of the tire situation.
You know, sometimes you'll have a low front tire on your car and it wants to drive the machine one way or the other. Well, that's because as that tire is losing air, it's becoming shorter, and that causes that steering difference. Well, you don't want that on the street, but in stock car racing on bank tracks where all the turns are to the left, you intentionally want different size tires on the left and the right. They call it stagger. Let me show you the rear tires off of Bob Sinaca's number 84 Buick. Here's the left rear, and here's the right rear. You can see there's about 2 inches different. Now, that helps the car turn to the left. Now, if Bob came in and said to the crew, hey, guys, the car is loose, the rear end wants to come around, they would raise the size of the left rear tire. In other words, get the stagger closer together. It's 2 inches approximately here, whatever the car wants. On some of the smaller high bank tracks, you'll see as much as 3.5 inches different in the stagger. Now, something else. You won't find a lot of chrome wheels on these race cars. I mean, they're very good looking, but chrome plating weighs about a pound a wheel, and also chrome retains heat. What you will see are a lot of these polished, or rather powder-painted black steel wheels from Bassett Company. In fact, in their words, you've never seen a chrome stove. The whole idea is to keep this assembly as cool and light as possible.
Okay, the field forming up behind the pace car. Now, Bobby Gill and Daniel Keene, they are the 1-2 cars, but they haven't stopped yet. So Miller, Trickle, and Grissom will probably move to the front when the green drops. In the meantime, let's go to Steve, who's on the radio with Mike Eddy.
Mike Eddy, this is Steve Evans, Diamond T Sports. Come back.
I got a copy on you.
Very good progress so far, Mike. How does the racetrack? Is it in good condition? Is it dry and clean?
Track is in great shape right now. There's 2 good grooves out here. It's nice and clean. I think we're going to see a good race.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Already seeing a good one, Mike, and it's interesting you say there are 2 grooves here. We've got 5 more Stock Car Connection races. We'll bring you the one from Queen City Speedway in Cincinnati, and also the final one of the season at the Nashville Motor Speedway in Nashville, Tennessee. Steve?
Brock, we are just about ready for a restart here. The action has been cleaned up, and here they come. Thundering out of turn number 3 down this 900-foot straightaway. Let's see how quickly Butch Miller can retake the lead, if indeed he can. 2 cars that didn't pit, Daniel Keene and also Bobby Gill were up front when the green fell.
And look at Trickle in the 99 car. Come low, takes Steve Grissom and challenges Butch Miller in the 52 car.
Well, with a move like that, Trickle must have the confidence he needs in his brake. Here you're riding with Butch Miller. Sliding just in front of him is Daniel Keene. And out in front of both of them is car number 14, Bobby Gill, who is leading, but due to the fact that he did not yet make a pit stop. And here comes 52 Miller and 99 Trickle. They both slide right around Daniel Keene. They're running in 2nd and 3rd. Now Grissom also gets around the 51 car of Keene. And now just in front of them is the leader, Bobby Gill. But I don't think he's going to be out on the point very long, because here comes Butch Miller. I keep trying to raise Butch Miller on my magic radio, but all I get is a machine that says Butch is a little busy right now.
Well, he's going to be even busier because Dick Trickle in that blue, black and silver 99 is right on his bumper. And here comes Leclerc slowing again, Steve.
That's right, Brock, and he just passed the entrance to the pit, so it looks doubtful that he has enough momentum to get back around and off the racetrack. The yellow flag has come out. They're going to send some assistance out to Claude Leclerc. Stay with us. This narrow avenue, called Sans-Sulpice in Old Montreal, is typical of the streets in this region. They were laid out in 1672 when Montreal was the center of what they called New France. Well, back at Saint-Pie and Sanair Super Speedway, the green flag is out again, and in the pit area with Claude Leclerc is Brock Yates. Brock?
One of the most popular drivers here at Sanair, a man who's given our camera car such a good ride, and he obviously disappointed. Jean-Claude, we're sorry you're out. First of all, it looks like the engine was problem, all right?
Yeah, the valve for the dry sump pump coming out. And I saw the no pressure on the gauge. I pushed the engine off. I don't have a choice. The day's over for me.
It had nothing to do with the earlier problem with the other cars.
No, somebody pushed me when coming on the first corner, but the car going all right after that.
Well, you were giving us some great pictures, and we're sorry you had to retire for a variety of reasons.
It's very bad for us, too.
Well, the fans, of course, you're a big favorite here.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Well, we'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Brock, see if you can get the remains of that camera. Maybe we can glue it back together for the next time at Cincinnati. Okay, back out on the racetrack, some things have changed. The leaderboard now shows number 31, Steve Grissom, on top, and that's one of the old pro cars. Bob Seneker, number 84, he is in the second spot. Then Butch Miller in 52, Dick Trickle 99, and 88, Mike Eddy.
Well, now look at this, Steve. That is the 99 car of Trickle, who just blew past Butch Miller going down into turn number 1. And I wonder if during that stop, that critical stagger element that you discussed could be playing against Miller. Maybe this new set of tires just isn't working for him.
Well, Brock, I'm right here by Butch Miller's pits. I'll try to find out.
Oh, you can see the car pushing. Miller having to feed more steering into that car as he comes down the front straightaway, and now being challenged by Mike Eddy in the number 88 green Buick, right behind that white 52 Camaro of Butch Miller. Now Miller heading down into the dogleg, and Eddy blows by him. In the meantime, Steve has worked his way down to crew chief Kevin Hamlin to find out what's going on with Butch. What did he have to say?
The car is really, really loose, and we're going to try changing both back tires next time if we can.
So the stagger off a bit?
Yeah, quite a bit. Thanks.
Thank you. So the crew obviously concerned about the plight of their man, Butch Miller, who, remember, started on the pole in this race, had quick time, but is not running anywhere near up to capacity right now, Steve.
Well, these guys are sure running flat out. That's the battle for the lead. 31, Steve Grissom, representing All Pro, and 84, Bob Seneker, representing the ASA. Just what the organizers of the Stock Car Connection hope for. Good, scrappy competition between the three organizations. It's happening all day today.
It sure is, and nobody seems to have a clear-cut advantage. Right now, Steve Grissom from Gadsden, Alabama, leading it way up here in the province of Quebec. From Dorr, Michigan, Bob Seneker right behind him. There's Robbie Crouch from the ACT, moving by Butch Miller, as does Ted Musgrave. So Miller advancing rapidly to the back, and you can be sure that he and his crew chief Kevin Hamlin are praying for a caution flag.
Well, 52, Butch Miller, we're riding with him now, has gone all the way from dominating this race clear back to the 7th position. Well, Steve Grissom is up front, car number 31 for All Pro. Bob Seneker just behind him, a little fire coming out of the exhaust, but no smoke, so doesn't appear to be any major problem with the engine. That's the way that car is running anyway. In the 2nd position, statistically, Bob Seneker wins 1 out of every 3 ASA regular season races he enters.
You just can't beat that. The most consistent driver of them all, a man who is just so experienced in short track racing as he sets his sights on this youngster from Alabama, young Steve Grissom, just in his early 20s. Oh, look at that. That is Daniel Keene, car number 51. Crash is coming out of the dogleg. That is going to bring out the yellow flag that Butch Miller has been praying for, and will give him the opportunity to leap into the pit. Well, Daniel Keene, remember earlier, led it just a little bit out of Tampa, Florida, back underway. He'll head for the pits. Steve?
Brock, I'm in the pits of car number 52, Butch Miller. You heard Kevin, his crew chief, say that the car is loose. The stagger is off. What you may see here is changing both rear tires. Normally, of course, they change right side. Yes, indeed, they are changing both rear tires, trying to get the diagonal balance back in this machine.
So, time being gobbled up is Steve Grissom, also in the pits, getting underway.
Grissom took on the allowed 2 tires. Here's Butch Miller. That stop continuing. There's an official there with a stop sign gathering these cars up to organize them apparently for the restart. But down pit row, a big surprise. This is Mike Eddy, car number 88. He is in the pit area. The helmet is off, and apparently Mike Eddy is done for the day. Brock is there.
What's the problem, Mike?
It just quit. Some kind of ignition problem. I don't know what it is for sure.
Okay. So there's the story. Mike Eddy's crew hard at work. Don Biederman, the crew chief, going after the ignition system as Mike gets out to help. Oh, everybody charging into the situation. They obviously haven't given up yet.
Well, the way Mike Eddy pitched that steering wheel when he got out of the car, they may have to fix it. It may not be completely round anymore. You always hate to see a Charger like Eddy out. Bob Seneca leads it, followed by Dick Trickle, number 99, the Camaro, then Musgrave, Stouffer, and Gill. In fact, let me see if I can raise Dick Trickle on the radio.
Dick Trickle, this is Steve Evans, Diamond P. Come in. I'm back. Well, that pretty new car you call Lacey has turned out to be quite a lady, running at strong second place right now.
Coming on, my brakes are starting to heal, and it's getting just a little bit better. We changed our pit stops right. We're in pretty good shape right now. We got to go green here.
Okay, he called it. Dick Trickle called it. Ducks in behind Bob Seneca in that second spot. That 84 and 99 veteran campaigners on the ASA drill coming off turn number 1. The green flag flies. We're underway again.
Well, Seneca leads it. Butch Miller is after the stop back in the 6th position, car number 52. Here is Dick Trickle, the dark blue and silver 99 car going underneath Seneca. And Musgrave trying to tuck right in behind Trickle, and they make it work. Both of them get right by Seneca. Seneca suddenly strikes back on Musgrave. Oh, boy, this is some kind of short track stock car racing, Brock.
It sure is. As Seneca goes high all the way around turn 3, nose to nose with Musgrave, and gets second place back. So it's Trickle, Seneca, Musgrave, nose to tail through turn number 1.
And Butch Miller's crew for the 52 car may have accomplished something. We can look here as he comes into the dog leg here. He's not fighting the car like he was. And he has also passed number 90, Kent Stauffer from the ASA. And right now is chasing Steve Grissom for the 4th spot.
Right, so it's apparent that they've got that combination more to his liking, Butch Miller's liking, as he heads down the front straightaway. Right ahead of him is the number 31 car of Steve Grissom. So Butch Miller is definitely back in the hunt with that number 52 Camaro.
And here we can see the interval between Grissom in 4th place and 52 car Butch Miller in 5th. In fact, watching Butch inside the car, it looks like a Sunday drive compared to the way he was having to drive the car before the pit stop, Rod.
Very evident, Steve. He was fighting that wheel all the way through that turn number 3, and now you can see him just slide through there. There are your leaders, Trickle, Seneca, and Musgrave. Right, nose to tail here in the Molson 400 as the action continues. Stick with us.
I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates, and we're back at Sanair Super Speedway near Montreal for the continuation of the Stock Car Connection Molson 400. Nothing has changed since we left you. Dick Trickle, who struggled earlier with some new brakes, obviously he's got them seated now. He's running up front, the 99 Camaro. Bob Seneca in the 2nd spot, and here's our camera car, Butch Miller. He is running back in 5th, but on the prowl.
Well, he's definitely got some performance back after that last pit stop, Steve, and there's a factor again. But look at these two. That's Musgrave and number 31, Steve Grissom, going at it. And a punch-up for the 3rd spot. Right behind them, Miller. Of course, in front of them is Trickle and Seneca. There you see Seneca trying to get underneath Trickle. Down the front straightaway they come. But Trickle, so experienced, he's not going to let him by in that situation. But look at Musgrave and Grissom go at it.
Young Steve Grissom executes a beautiful pass on Musgrave. He wins in the 3rd, but Brockett detected just a hint of smoke coming out of that motor. And look at here, side by side, 52 Butch Miller and Ted Musgrave. That's the fight for 4th position. First it was Grissom that got around Musgrave, and now, yeah, Butch Miller moves into 4th.
There's Miller going down the front straightaway. Right in front of him, you can see that Steve Grissom's red and white number 31 car. A little mob of cars right there, some slower traffic and the leaders as well. There's Grissom underneath Seneca, challenging Seneca for the 2nd spot. So Steve Grissom definitely on the prowl here.
What poise that 23-year-old driver is showing here, Brock. Came all the way from down south to one of the trickiest tri-ovals on the continent, and is right now challenging for 2nd spot on the inside. Grissom has the line over the veteran Seneca, and he does it without them touching, and that was miraculous. Seneca didn't like that a bit. He hunts around trying to find a way to pay him back.
I don't think he's going to be able to right now as we watch Butch Miller, who has now taken command of that 4th spot and is moving in behind Seneca. So Butch Miller definitely on the move. Those 2 rear tires have made all the difference in the world for that young man as we watch Steve Grissom go around some slower traffic there. There's Butch Miller moving in on that blue car, that Buick of Bob Sanair. Sanair seems to have a little bit more speed through that dog leg in the back, Steve. Notice he's pulled out a little bit, and then down into this turn number 3, it looks like Butch can move in on him a little bit.
Well, that's true. Seneca's car may be just a little higher geared, where he doesn't get quite the launch off the corner, but in that 900-foot straight, it will more than make up for it. There's the number 84 car, Bob Seneca. He is running in the second position. And there's our leader, 99, Dick Trickle, the veteran from Wisconsin. And right behind him, in fact, trying to pull alongside, is Steve Grissom, the 31 car from down south. Wow.
What a race. Here they come around slower traffic into turn number 3. Grissom right on his bumper, the rear bumper. There's the racer, third, 52, Butch Miller, right in, tucked in behind Bob Sanair in the 84 car.
And Brock, how about it? I just saw John Paul Cabana, the number 5A car. He miraculously got it repaired enough where he's back out there. His 30th year of racing, he's not about to quit here. He's announced this will be his last year, but certainly not his last race. The fans being treated up front to a tremendous battle between Dick Trickle, the 99 Camaro, the dark blue and silver car, the youngster Grissom, who just keeps gnawing on him with that 31 machine, that Buick, and the engine blows in Grissom's car. That kind of smoke can only mean one thing, Brock, probably a connecting rod, because that car is out of the race, and let's hope everybody can skate around in that oil safely.
Well, here comes a very, very despondent young man from Gadsden, Alabama, heading for the pits. This will probably bring out the yellow flag, I would imagine. Yes, it does. Everybody backs it down. There is Trickle's crew. Here comes Sanair. He'll come in for tires. Everybody going to make some more adjustments and try to get it right here at Sanair on this very tricky racetrack.
And here is Dick Trickle, the 99 car. I overheard him on the radio, Brock, telling his crew that he wanted 2 rear tires. But you know what? Down in his pit, he's getting 2 right tires. There may have been some miscommunication here. I distinctly heard him say rear tires. Sanair down off the jack. He took the 2 allowed tires on a yellow stop on green. You can take all you want. Now, Trickle, he's down towards turn 1, so he will be first out of the pits with that 99 car. And they are starting now to line them up. We're still under yellow here. A number of pit stops going on. All of this, of course, created by the engine explosion of number 31, Steve Grissom. That brought out the yellow. Now, some cars fitted, some cars didn't, depending on their strategy. Well, enough did where Dick Trickle has now been pushed back into the number 12 spot as he goes out onto the racetrack. And look who's cruising around in the lead, taking a little refreshment. Butch Miller, his car was handling perfectly, saw no need for a pit stop. He stayed out there and took over the lead. But right now, let's go back to the garage area with a very disappointed young man.
A super drive by Steve Grissom, and then all of a sudden it was just instantly over, and I would have reckoned something went wrong up front.
Yeah, I think we broke a rod or something like that, but the car was working awful good today. I can't say enough for the crew. Bryant and all the boys, they've worked real hard this weekend and put in an extra effort, and I think it showed up today on the racetrack.
It sure did, Steve. You were right there all day long, and what were your feelings had the motor not gone away on it? How was it? You know, how was it going to unfold for Steve Grissom?
I don't know. I feel like we had a pretty good chance. We wasn't running the car quite as hard as we had to. We still had good brakes. I think that's the main thing here at this racetrack. But Butch Miller, Bob Sanair, Dick Trickle, you can't count those guys out, that's for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing that young man as the season progresses. Butch Miller in the lead, as we said. Ted Musgrave, 97. He's in the second spot. Robbie Crouch, NAC car, number 48. He's moved in. Paris Southerners, 4th and 5th. Jody Ridley and Bobby Gill. Let me see if I can reach Dick Trickle on the radio and see if we can find out about that pit stop of his.
Dick Trickle, Steve Evans, Diamond P again. Come on back. A little miscommunication with your crew there. Apparently you got tires you really didn't want.
I'm going to change rears, but evidently I wasn't keeping my mic good enough or something. All you can hear is tires, so we'll be all right. I was just going to put the rear tires on, but this should handle it.
So as we get ready for a restart here, Trickle didn't get quite what he wanted, but I'll tell you what, he's a veteran. He'd probably drive that thing on a rim, Steve.
Oh, I guarantee you, Brock. And up front on the restart, that is Butch Miller, car number 52, and they are really tightly grouped here. The yellow flag has brought everything together again. It's almost like a brand new car race.
It sure is. There's your race for third. Robbie Crouch in the 48, and the number 98 car of Jody Ridley, who has moved up into the top 5 for the first time this afternoon. Ridley, a real veteran of the Grand National Stock Car Wars, Short Track Wars in the South, a really fine race driver.
And there's Dick Trickle, the number 99 Camaro. Now, the red and white white car number 8, that's Yvonne Bédard. He is down a lap. So Trickle, even though he passes him, is still in the 12th position. Holding down 11th is Bobby Dotter in that beautiful Thunderbird machine. That is car number 79. Trickle now has to try to get up and get around him. He really fell back on that pit stop.
As we go now to the race for third, that's the 48 car of Robbie Crouch. Right behind him, the veteran Jody Ridley in the 98 car.
But there they are up front, and we're right with our man, number 52, Butch Miller, has been carrying that car all day, and the insight that in-car camera shot has given us, he is really on a cruise right now. Number 97, Ted Musgrave, keeps trying to pull up on him, but anytime he gets close, Miller just again drives away.
Well, a lot of guys said before the race, as we watched Trickle go around J. Michael Krakowski and move up a little bit farther, but he's still got a long way to go to get back up toward the leaders. As we said earlier, a lot of the guys felt that if the car was right, Butch Miller would be very, very tough to beat on this racetrack.
Well, you figure last year during ASA's regular season, Butch Miller won 5 races, and that was as good as anybody else did. So Butch Miller in command here at the Molson 400. We'll be right back.
This is the site of the 1976 Olympic Games. Montreal, one of the most international cities on the North American continent, also the site of a World's Fair back in the 1960s, and until recently, an international Formula One Grand Prix race. Here, not quite Grand Prix racing, but that is one of the best drivers in North America for sure. Bob Sanair, but he's into the pit, Steve Evans.
That's right. Sanair, who had led this race, comes in under the green flag. The crew unbuttoning the front of the hood there. There's something drastically wrong with the number 84 Buick. The one guy there, he's in charge of cleaning the windshields. He's going to clean it no matter what. And here is Dick Trickle, the number 99 car. Trickle, who has led, is now running 7th. He's just behind Beaver Dragon, the 91 car. Miller, of course, is still leading, followed by the ever-strong 97 car of Ted Musgrave. You know, talking to Butch Miller earlier, Brock, he said he was really looking forward to racing with all his old ASA pals on this terrific new racetrack. He said, but I don't know about those other guys. He said, there's a guy out there named Beaver Dragon. He said, just the name scares me.
Well, Beaver's been around. This is his 30th year racing, and a real pro from up in the Northeast. As we watch this, what we call a gaggle of race cars making it around this nearly 1 mile tri-oval. That's Robbie Crouch in 5th. Right behind him, Beaver Dragon in the number 91 car. And immediately in back of him, that is the 99 car of Dick Trickle. Beaver Dragon, a 30-year veteran of the racing war, Steve.
Well, the Dragon family, his brother Bobby also, always competitive when he's out on the racetrack. And the short car stock car racing has really been their life, a way of life with both brothers.
Absolutely. Real pros from up in the northeastern part of the United States. Of course, he and Robbie Crouch have banged fenders for years and years and years. Crouch, a native of Tampa, Florida, moved up here, though, and is now living in Vermont because of this ACT tour, primarily concentrated in this part of the country. And now, Dick Trickle makes his move, moving past Beaver Dragon. One more step forward for Dick Trickle, trying to get back up among the leaders after that long stop that he made.
And that is his favorite place to pass, just going into the dog leg on the backside of the racetrack. So Dick Trickle continues to find his way back to the front, and a yellow caution flag has suddenly been displayed. The stop car connection officials say there's some debris down in about turn 2.5, kind of between turn 2 and turn number 3. They might puncture a tire if it was to be left out there, so they're going to get in and do some cleanup. And here's the leaders woeing it down under the yellow. Butch Miller, car number 52, followed by car number 97, Ted Musgrave. Jody Ridley continuing to run into that 3rd spot. With the yellow out, let's check in with Brock in the garage area.
I'm with Bob Sanair, ran with the leaders all day and looked very strong, and then suddenly, Bob, it was over.
I'm not sure what happened. It's an internal motor problem. I think we might have dropped the valve.
Otherwise, everything was going well, wasn't it?
Well, the car was working perfectly. I was just kind of saving it because we got a long ways to go yet.
Any surprises about this particular racetrack and the way it was unfolding for you?
Yeah, I was learning how to pass here. It was getting easier and easier. There is a way to do it.
With the yellow out, there's some pit stop activity. Ted Musgrave running in the 2nd spot. That Wisconsin driver brought the 97 car in. and looks like they're going for tires on the left side. They got right side tires. They take more abuse on the racetrack, but now they need left. And here comes Dick Trickle. Now remember, he did not get the tires he really wanted on his last stop. This time, let's see, he's only allowed 2 under a yellow, you'll recall, and he's taking on left side as well. So both Musgrave and Dick Trickle taking on left side rubber. Now, Trickle should be in good shape tire-wise because he had hardly anywhere at all on that right side, so he's looking good. In fact, most of the tires coming off of these cars are far from worn out. It's a good, cool day, a very smooth racetrack. A lot of the rubber will be used again in hot lapping or qualifying or maybe even some final laps somewhere else down the road. Well, there goes Ted Musgrave back out onto the tri-oval here at Sanair. Let's go down to his pit area. Brock with his crew chief.
With Ollie Meadow, Ted Musgrave's crew chief, and things are looking pretty good. A little bobble on that stop, but probably not enough to really hurt you, I wouldn't imagine, Ollie.
No, I don't think it'll hurt us too bad. There's a long way to go here yet. We had a slight push in the car. We made a stagger adjustment on that stop, and I think the car will be working a little better now.
Tire wear pretty good so far. That's your first change on the left side?
First change on the left. Yeah, tire wear is excellent.
Tire wear, the least of anybody's problem so far. Let's once again via radio check in with Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle, car number 99, Steve Evans again. Come on back. Well, Dick, that was an excellent and a very fast pit stop. Did you get everything you wanted?
And 4, yeah, we put left side tires on the car. Hopefully, with a little luck, we might be able to change right sides yet.
How big a factor, if any, is fuel consumption going to be in this race?
We should be able to make it to the end, I guess.
No, I don't think so.
Take Butch. Full now, right?
And 4, it's going green next lap.
Well, that was the voice of Vic Getzlaff, Dick Trickle's crew chief, breaking in there. He says they don't have enough fuel to go all the way. Trickle thinks they do. The two of them are just having a hard time getting along today on that radio, Brock.
Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard after this jumble of pit stops. Miller leads it. Daniel Keene, he's in second place, but he hasn't stopped. Remember, he hit the wall earlier. Jamie Obb in third, Trickle in fourth, and Jody Ridley in fifth. Now, of course, Trickle and Ridley have stopped as well, so we're going to see that standing change here when we go to green, Steve.
That's right. They are the main players here right now, Butch Miller and Dick Trickle. They've got the horsepower and should both have the handling now. We know Miller's got great tires, and Trickle should be in terrific shape here, so this should be a lot of fun as the green comes out once again at the Molson 400.
And here comes Butch Miller diving down into turn number 1. Right behind him, that is Keene. But here comes Trickle trying to get by Jamie Obb for that third spot. And he will make that work as they go into the dog leg. So Trickle moves up. Here comes Jody Ridley in the 98 car, also moving by Obb. And as we said, things will reorder themselves here pretty quickly with these faster cars moving to the front. The question, though, Steve, is Butch Miller's got a clear track ahead of him.
And also, look at this, the 79 car just behind the blue machine of Jody Ridley. You'll see Bobby Dotter right there. He has now moved into contention as well. So Bobby Dotter and also Jody Ridley, their cars have been performing better all day long as the crews get these new machines figured out. Trickle is getting a lot of pressure right now. He's not running quite as well as maybe we thought he would with all that new rubber.
He sure isn't. In fact, tire combinations have been critical as Jody Ridley goes by Dick Trickle, and that is purely a function of tires. So Jody Ridley re-established. Look at this. Trickle doesn't want to let him by, but he has to. And now Dotter looks as if he's going to challenge Trickle. Trickle just moved in his race, and forget it. One guy, not two. But Dotter challenges on the outside. Dotter trying to move by through the dog leg. No, can't do it. Tries to go high, but he is definitely going to challenge Trickle for that fourth spot.
And the driver of that all blue, number 98 car, remember the number was still wet out on the grid. That's how new it is. He is on a chair, and right now is hunting down 51, Daniel Keene. In fact, right now, here you see 98 pull right up on 51. Jody Ridley has more power and better handling. Keene is in that position because he likes to stay out there and not pit. But right now, he is going to pay for it because Jody Ridley is coming down on the inside, down the long straightaway. He's got about 3 lengths of a football field to get it accomplished, and he does cleanly go into turn number 1. Jody Ridley from way down south in the second spot.
Okay, you got it. There is Ridley in second, and Trickle challenging for that third spot, trying to get back in the hunt here as the Molson 400 continues.
We're under caution here at the Stock Car Connection Molson 400. You just saw the record there. Well, he's pushing off Beaver Dragon car number 91 who broke out on the racetrack. That brought out the caution flags. That is probably going to bring about a flurry of pit stops, and they should be the final ones of the day. In fact, here comes our leader, Butch Miller, down onto pit road.
He sure is. He's in a big hurry. This is time that can be really gobbled up while you're in a pit, sir. And his pit, along with Trickle, way at the far end. There's his crew getting ready to go to work on him. Now, we've seen all day long guys go fast and slow down, then go fast, all based on the tire changing combinations. There's Trickle in right behind the leader. Here comes Jody Ridley in the 98 car. They're going to change the right side for him. Going to get a little drink. It gets a little bit warm out there. Trickle getting the right side this time as well. Down off the jacks. Here comes Butch Miller back underway again. That was a good quick stop for him.
Well, yeah, a little quicker than his crew anticipated. They wanted to put a little more fuel in it, and Miller left with the fuel can still stuck in. Occasionally, you get them tangled up. Well, Ridley's pit stop is not quick. Jody Ridley, car number 98, he wants to get going, and the crew is taking a little more time than he likes. Well, it's been a guessing game, as Brock pointed out, all day long, as far as tires and stagger and any adjustments to the chassis were concerned. Well, this is the last chance anybody's going to get to adjust anything. Already back out on the racetrack, we see Butch Miller, the number 52 car, who has been so very strong today. He hasn't led every lap, but pretty darn close. And here comes Robbie Crouch into the pits. He made a couple another yellow laps, avoiding the traffic jam there. The Vermont driver has been strongly in contention all day long. When he pulled in here, he was running in the 4th spot. And again, yes, he will take on right side tires and just enough fuel to finish this race. You see a crewman with a little pan back there to take any of the gasoline overflow, checking the tire pressure on the left-hand side as tires are going on the right. Now, these teams don't run that many long races, so look, that activity maybe not quite as well orchestrated as you see in some forms of stock car racing, but out he goes. Robbie Crouch burned in rubber, and down in the pit area to talk to his crew chief is Brock Yates. Brock?
Dick, a big gamble, I would imagine, for those right side tires.
Well, we had the combination in the last tire stop. We lost it, so we had to try to find it again.
So you think maybe you'll get it back with this different compound on the right side now?
Well, it's a little different size, and we think we stand a better chance.
Okay, I hope it works for you.
Thanks.
Well, the key word there was we hope it stands a better chance. And as we pointed out, it has really been quite a guessing game. But now what we have, all the pit work is completed. If you pit now, you're going to lose. We have got a sprint shootout to the finish, Brock.
Absolutely. Butch Miller leads it. Ted Musgrave, Dick Trickle, Tom Jones, and Jody Ridley. Those are the top 5 guys, the best shot at it. But the way we've seen it go this afternoon, people have moved up and down through the standings all day long. That's basically been tire selection and chassis setup. The engines, they've been just about equal, and that is not an accident. The engines here are very much alike. And earlier, Steve had a chance to look at that concept.
6 or 7 years ago, when the concept of the highly reliable 9-to-1 compression engine came around, everybody thought, well, that's a pretty good idea, except for one thing. How do we know somebody's not cheating? Well, at first they tried some simple compression gauges, and they didn't work. Well, thanks to Chevrolet engineers who use a device called the Whistler on the engine assembly line, they can check the compression. Here we see them working on the number 41 Buick of Jamie Obey. Now, into one cylinder, with the piston at top dead center, they inject air under pressure. Now, the air bouncing around in there creates sound waves. Now, the Whistler already knows the size of the engine, the temperature of the air, and now can interpret those sound waves, read out the compression ratio, accurate to within 100. Now, they allow them a little air factor. 9.49 is okay. 9.5, and you're out of here. You can bet that all the cars whistling around Sanair today are dead legal compression-wise.
And boy, does that make the competition equal, as we've seen. Right now, 20 laps to go here in the Molson 400, and the man who leads them off turn number 3 for a green flag is number 52, Butch Miller.
And I'll tell you, Brock, if I was a betting man, the only guy I see out there capable of getting Miller might be Musgrave. He is so strong. Even though he's listed as a rookie, he's got years of experience. He's just a rookie in that particular association, ASA. We saw him win a qualifying race last week. He is double tough, and Butch Miller knows that.
He sure does, Steve. As we watch Miller head down toward turn number 3. That is the 99 car of Dick Trickle. Number 14, that white automobile. That is Venice, Florida's Bobby Gill. And he started way back in the 12th spot, but he is up among the leaders and really charging right now.
That's right. The battle plan for some of these cars that started back was to take it kind of conservatively, stay out of trouble, and maybe pick up some places as cars went out. And it certainly paid off for Bobby Gill. He's moved up nicely.
He sure has. here comes your leaders. That is the Butch Miller car. There is Musgrave in the 97 car. There's Trickle, and right behind him is Bobby Gill in that number 14 white Buick, and he is challenging. I wonder, can he get by Trickle? We don't know whether Trickle's tires are working or not based on that last stop, but as you said, it was now or never. There's no opportunity for another change.
Oh, no. In fact, there's less than 20 laps to go. So this is a just blow or go now, all or nothing. I'll tell you, Butch Miller's car, Brock, next time we see it, you'll see how low he sits in that car. You can almost barely see his head. And that's part of their trick setup, to get the center of gravity as low as they can in that car. In fact, everybody now working in that direction. The radiators being mounted lower. All components are lower, the faster.
Okay, as Butch Miller starts to open it out a little bit, we see that Musgrave, Trickle, and Gill are riding right there, fighting it out for the second spot. Final laps coming up.
The closing laps are unfolding of the stock car connection Molson 400 here at Sanair Super Speedway. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and the man up front, Butch Miller, but he's getting a lot of pressure from the number 2 runner car, number 97, Ted Musgrave. Bobby Gill, the 14 car, Brock, has moved all the way up into 3rd.
And here's your race for 8th between 90 Ken Stauffer and number 48 Robbie Crouch as they weave through some lap cars. But those two guys have been going at it all afternoon and have really been victims of that tire guesswork that we talked about earlier, both of them.
Well, here's car number 99, Dick Trickle from the ASA, and one of his running mates also from that association, the 0 car, Tom Jones. That's the battle for 4th, and Jones makes a move on the outside, but Trickle is able to fight him off so far anyway. And there you see back there the Thunderbird 79 of Bobby Dotter. He is down a lap in the 10th position. So the top 9 cars are on the lead lap, Brock, and that is a lot for the whole concept of these 3 sanctioning bodies getting together. Terrific.
Look at this Tom Jones go, though. They call him the Zero Hero. He runs that Zero car, that Oldsmobile out of Northbrook, Illinois. And I'll tell you what, he's given Trickle all he asked for and then some. Look at that. Through the dog leg, Tom Jones gets by Trickle. That moves him up into the 4th spot. Trickle back down into 5th. So we've had a major standing change here in the final laps. Trickle surprisingly weak, and what we thought would be the time where he'd make the big charge toward the front, Steve.
That's right, Brock, and I think you're right earlier. The whole thing has to do with maybe a little problem there when he got the wrong tires, because if you're off a 1/4 of an inch on these cars, believe me, the circumference of the tire, a 1/4, a 1/2 inch, you can tell it makes a difference. But here comes Trickle back. He's going to try to get around. Yeah, he's going to do it on the outside. Tom Jones, take that.
Well, he sure did, and that's because Jones was balked a little bit by a lap car. Here comes Jones again, though. He's going to make a move on the inside. It doesn't work. So Trickle resumes that 4th spot. But I'll tell you what, that 0 car, right behind him is Bobby Dotter in the 79 Thunderbird. So both those guys challenging. Jones down low. Trickle got a good shot there, though. And Jones falls well back now.
But Tom maintains that 5th position, Bob, because all the cars in and around him are down at least 1 lap. So running 4th is Trickle, running 5th is Jones, and there's our leader, number 52, Butch Miller. If Miller can just hang on here a few more laps, he will get Brock probably what is his biggest ever racing payday.
So Butch Miller off turn 3, clear track ahead, got the right setup apparently on that last stop, because you can see that car working just perfectly around this tri-oval, and nobody is really in a position to challenge him. So it's up to Butch to lose the race either through a bobble, which he hasn't done all afternoon, or engine or chassis problems. So right now he's in full command.
And these drivers have shown some good endurance today, Brock. They don't usually drive this long a race, 400 kilometers, 300 laps. Everybody out there very alert.
Here comes Ted Musgrave in the 97 car. What a race he has run. Started back in the number 7 spot and is just charged to the lead and stayed there. Terrific drive by both Miller and Musgrave. You can see the interval there. Miller by no means in a dominant position here, but based on the interval that we see right there, it would take 3 or 4, maybe 5 really very quick laps for Musgrave to make up that interval of about 10 cars.
And we don't really know how hard Butch Miller is driving. Maybe flat out, or maybe saying, wait a minute, unless he pushes me, maybe I don't use everything I've got.
Well, based on our in-car camera, you can see that he's not working too hard. He's just got a nice, smooth rhythm worked out of the car. Notice here comes turn number 3. He just got a little twitch of the wheel there through that relatively tight corner and down the last lap. White flag out. Less than a mile to go for victory for Butch Miller.
Ted Musgrave still hanging in there. Musgrave knowing that anything could happen here. He could blow a motor, puncture a tire, lose his concentration on the last lap. You just never give up if you're Musgrave. So he's driving. Look, and here comes Musgrave right now. He has narrowed up that distance on the final lap, but it is not going to be enough. Across the start-finish line, it is Butch Miller winning the first ever Stock Car Connection Molson 400, and what a happy crew.
And they ought to be. They've run beautifully, managed his pit work perfectly all day long. We'll be back to talk to Butch Miller after this. Well, you're seeing a little bit of motorsports history being made here at Sanair. The first ever Stock Car Connection race, a completed event. The Molson 400 with Butch Miller into victory lane. Steve Evans is with him.
Out he crawls, Butch Miller. The record book will always read that he won the inaugural Stock Car Connection event, the Molson 400. What a drive.
The crew saved a car. I don't know, lap 50 or 100, the thing just went flat out to lunch. A left rear tire shrunk, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with what happens, but the tire gets small, and the car just wants to turn around and point the other way, and we were going backwards fast, but they saved it for us.
Indeed they did. In fact, your battle plan in the early part of the race was exactly what you told me it was going to be. You beat Trickle into turn 1 and were long gone.
Yeah, except it didn't last long. I wanted to be long gone, but pretty soon the car was long gone and backwards.
Well, and Ted Musgrave was giving you no slack there towards the end.
I tell you what, he should have been ASA and Stock Car Connection racing long ago, because he's a good chauffeur.
Well, today you earned pretty close to $20,000, the way I figure it.
I can finally buy a new race suit.
Butch Miller, nobody on the ground's happier than he is. Let's go to Brock with a surprising second-place finisher.
Okay, Ted Musgrave out of the car after a terrific drive. Ted, congratulations. You've had a hard run at him, but Miller was a little tough today.
He's tough for everybody.
You came up out of the pack after that last set of cautions. We were all watching, and you got by Trickle, and there were high hopes on your pit crew.
Well, like I said, the crew they just get the car so great that it's so fun to drive. You know, you don't have to do very much. Just turn the wheel.
I know Howie told me that you had a little problem with the radio, and there was a little glitch in your stop. Also, you had a little trouble with the left rear. You maybe lost a couple of seconds, but in retrospect, do you think that would have made any difference?
Well, yeah, the radio contact went bad, and I didn't know to come in the pit, and that did get us way back in the pack coming out. And I used the car really bad trying to get up towards the front again, and I just didn't have enough to catch Butchie.
You think if you'd had more brakes and the car had been a little bit stouter near the end, you could have run him down?
I'm not quite sure. I think Butchie was just being a little more sportsmanlike and let me catch up.
Well, you put on a fantastic show. Congratulations, Ted.
That was great.
Well, Butch Miller is a great sportsman, Ted, but I don't think he's ever going to intentionally let you catch up. The average speed of the race, 94.261 miles per hour. 6 lead changes among 5 drivers and 12 cautions for 63 laps. Not that bad when you consider that about 2/3 of the field had never run this particular racetrack. And you know, we'd like to offer a special congratulations from our entire Diamond P gang to the organizers of the Stock Car Connection. The founder of the American Speed Association, Rex Robbins, the man who started the American Canadian Tour, that'd be Tom Curley, and from down south, the man who back in '81 founded the All-Pro organization, Bob Harmon. A good job by not only the organizers, but especially the competitors. They came from north, south, and the Midwest. Everybody got together, had a great time, and more importantly, had a terrific injury-free inaugural race. For Brock Yates, I'm Steve Evans. So long from Sanair Super Speedway in Montreal.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashions. Style Auto, the champion's choice for the style of your life. American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.